Hey guys, my name is Madison. Today I'm going to be doing a little story time. I'm going to be talking about my appendectomy. So it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow since I had surgery. So basically what happened 2 weeks ago, it was May 14th, which is my birthday. This literally happened on my birthday, which is crazy. But so actually starting the beginning, so May 13th, I'd had dinner. I had like a bit of a stomach ache after, but I was just thinking, you know, it was gas pains or whatever, right? Like a stomach ache from what I ate. So like, okay, I was like laying on the couch, but like hours went by and I still had the stomach ache, which was kind of weird. So my boyfriend and I went to bed and I woke up the next morning. I think I woke up kind of in the middle of the night because I still had the pain and it was getting worse, which was really weird. And typically, you know, whenever I have gas pain or, you know, if it's something I ate or whatever it is, then it'll be gone by the morning, right? So I thought that was kind of weird. So the next morning we get up and like my stomach was in a lot of pain. It started kind of around like my belly button, kind of like mid abdomen area. So the next morning, which was my birthday, it's my 29th birthday, you know, I wanted to obviously enjoy the day, and my boyfriend was gonna make me breakfast, and you know, we had some plans or whatever, and literally I just felt so crappy. Like the pain was getting worse and I knew that I should probably go get it checked out. My boyfriend was telling me like, let's go to the hospital, let's go get it checked out, but I just, you know, I didn't want to be like stuck in the emerge like all day long, especially on my birthday. So I kind of put it off, you know, for a few hours. But then the pain started getting worse, and then it was traveling to like my lower like right side of my stomach, right? And I knew that that was, you know, where your appendix is located, whatever. So I was like, oh, you know, getting a little bit more worried. I was looking it up, and then it kind of seemed like it was or could be appendicitis, right? But then it also listed a bunch of other symptoms, you know, even like diarrhea, constipation, but like nausea and vomiting were like two big symptoms. So then later on, I started getting super lightheaded, and like I couldn't eat. I didn't eat anything. I had like dinner at like 6 the night before. Couldn't eat anything, and normally like as soon as I wake up, like I want to eat breakfast. Like I love breakfast. I'm always eating. Like I love food, so it was like kind of weird for me. But I started getting like really lightheaded. Everything was kind of going black. It was as if I was gonna faint. I fainted in the past like a few times due to my like low iron, right? So like I know the feeling. So it was feeling like that. Eventually later on I went to the bathroom, and like I was like super nauseous and was like about to throw up. Like I had the feeling, but nothing came up. My stomach was like pretty much empty anyway, but had the feeling, thought I was gonna throw up, but didn't. But at that point, like I was really lightheaded. Like I was literally laying on the floor of the bathroom. Like that's how crappy I felt. So I came out, and my boyfriend's like, let's go, like you need to go to the hospital. I'm taking you to the hospital, right? And me being like, you know, caring too much about what others think, I was like, okay, I need to shower first, because I knew deep down that like something was really wrong. Like this is not like, I'll get stomach aches from gas pain or, you know, typical stomach aches everyone gets, but this was like a different pain. The pain was getting worse. It was more like just in that quadrant, like the right lower quadrant or whatever of my stomach. And obviously with these other symptoms, the nausea, vomiting, like lightheadedness, dizziness, like I knew that it was something else, right? So it's like deep down I'm like, shit, like what if I need surgery, whatever, right? So I was like, okay, quick, gotta get in the shower. Like I need to shave my legs. Like I need to, you know, be half decent if, you know, people are gonna see me, whatever. So I was like dying in pain, like bent over in the shower, like so much pain, shaving my legs, like trying to like wash quickly, whatever. Got out, and I literally kept like, as soon as I was out of the shower, I was like laying in bed because I was that dizzy. Like I would get up, you know, brush my hair, try to do something. Within 30 seconds, I thought I was gonna faint. So then I would lay back down. My boyfriend said, come on, like we need to go, you know. So I was like, okay, like forcing myself like to get dressed, to get up, and finally we were ready to leave. And this was probably like, I don't know, maybe like 1:30 in the afternoon at this point. So we drove to the hospital, and it's like, I don't know, maybe 15-20 minutes from us. A pretty like big hospital. They deal with a lot of like traumas around this area. Not that this was a trauma, but we didn't want to go to the hospital in this town. It's a really small town, and I know like a lot of times they'll just send you off to like, you know, the bigger hospital, right? In the next city or whatever, right? So we went to that hospital. I sat in Emerge. Oh, also, obviously because of COVID, my boyfriend couldn't even come in, which I figured, but you know, it's just sad. So I was like sitting in the Emerge all by myself. They checked me into triage, and I have like never felt so sick, honestly. Like I was sitting down, I had my head down like this because I was so nauseous and like just everything was spinning. There was a guy like trying to talk to me, like he was being nice, you know, whatever. And like I just felt so sick, like I couldn't even talk. And I was so nauseous, and this is like my first time I've ever really been into the Emerge. Like I've been to this hospital so many times. Like I'm a nurse, so I've brought a lot of patients there for appointments, stuff like that, right? But I've never ever been to the Emerge myself. Didn't know where anything was, didn't know where the bathroom was. So I was like, great, like, you know, when you're just so sick, like you can't wait. Like I didn't have time to ask around, whatever. I get up and I literally threw up in the middle of the Emerge. Like there's probably like, I don't know, 6 or 7 people sitting there, and then it's like right beside it a vending machine, big garbage can, and I was just throwing up right in the garbage can. It was so disgusting, but literally like there's nothing I could do. Like I don't know, I just felt so sick, right? So I threw up, felt a bit better, and then I finished throwing up, and I literally said like sorry guys, like that was so gross, like it was disgusting. Sit back down. The guy who was trying to talk to me before, he was so nice, but he went up to like the triage, was telling the nurses like, oh my gosh, she's like throwing up right now, like she's really sick, like maybe you should go see her. And then ended up bringing some like little like barf bags to me. Like it was really nice. But anyway, I sat there for hours, and then finally I was pulled back into another room, probably like, I don't even know, maybe a couple hours later. And from there I sat there for hours. Like I think I waited a total of like, God, I think I was there probably 10, 11 hours. Like it was a really long day. So from there, finally, like I was there a really long time waiting. The nurse came, they put an IV in me. Eventually a couple doctors came in residence, and they were feeling around. And then by that point, it was like really just localized to that bottom right area of my stomach, right? So they instantly like suspected it was appendicitis, which I like kind of figured. So they did some blood, had the IV in me. Eventually they moved me from the one little room I was like laying in the bed to one of the little pull-out chairs they have. So it was a lot more comfortable actually for me to sit up. So I had my legs out. So they hooked me up to the IV. They had fluids running, pain meds. They gave me something for nausea. So I was feeling a bit better at that point, but still waiting around. And eventually they told me that I needed an ultrasound, right? Because they needed to diagnose if it truly was appendicitis or what was going on. So I was there for a long time waiting to go for that. Then finally the lady took me down for the ultrasound. It was really like, it was kind of cool and like weird being the patient myself. Like I'm a nurse, right? So it's, and I've never been hospitalized or anything. I've never broken a bone. I've literally done nothing. So it was like such a weird kind of experience. And again, I've been to that exact ultrasound spa or whatever where I was getting my ultrasound done, because I brought so many patients there myself for appointments, right? So yeah, so I've been there so many times, like just as a nurse bringing a patient. So it was the first time I was there as a patient myself. So it was kind of a weird feeling. But anyway, the lady did the ultrasound. Then I was brought back to that same little chair. I was sitting there for a while. Then hours and hours went by, and finally the one surgeon or doctor, whoever it was, came and spoke with me and said, yes, in fact, you do have appendicitis. And actually my appendix had ruptured. And I was like Googling this before, but I guess once your appendix ruptures, sometimes you can get some relief of pain, right? Because it's just like so inflamed, I guess. And then once it ruptures, yeah, you can feel a bit of relief from the pain, but then it'll just get a lot worse. So, and I think that's what happened too. Because I remember when I was sitting there, I was on pain meds, but I remember just feeling like actually pretty comfortable eventually, right? Because the pain was like, it really lessened. So maybe at that point it had ruptured, I don't know. So they said, yes, like you definitely have appendicitis, your appendix has perforated, and you'll have to get surgery. So then I was just kind of waiting around, texting my family, my boyfriend, letting them know what was going on. They were kind of freaking out, and I just had to wait around. So there was actually another girl that was in the Emerge, I overheard, and I guess she had waited 9 days at home with all that pain before coming in with appendicitis, and her appendix had ruptured. So I knew that they would obviously be taking her before me because it was more serious, right? So I was just kind of waiting around. Eventually, they moved me up to one of the floors. So they admitted me to the one trauma floor. I think it was around 2 in the morning, and they told me that my surgery would be the following day or that day. So it was a long day. I think I originally got to the hospital at 2 in the afternoon. Yeah, so it had been about 12 hours until I was admitted to the unit. Once I got to the unit, the nurse did an ECG, so she looked at my heart. I think they did more blood work, vitals, that kind of thing. So I was really lucky to be in a room with just one other lady, and she actually ended up being a nurse. And she worked at a hospital like Kitchener way. She was so kind. Eventually she was up the next day, and she ended up getting moved to a different unit and still came in and checked on me. Like, she was so nice. So she was great because she was such a quiet, you know, I didn't know who I was going to be roomed with. So she was like a really good roommate. And then, so I stayed just the 2 nights. So the next day, it was around maybe 10:30, 11 in the morning. They took me down for the surgery, and it was like so freaky. You know, you watch Grey's Anatomy and everything, but like you don't know what to expect until you like get surgery done yourself, right? So I just remember they brought me into the room. I had like 3 warm blankets on because it was just so cold, right, in the operating room. And had all these blankets on. I kind of shuffled and shimmied over to like the other, like the OR, like stretcher bed or whatever. And it was freaky. So I had my IV in, right? So they're pushing the meds through that. And then they had like, you know, the breathing mask on or whatever, right? So it covered the majority of your face. So that was over my face. And then I just remember them saying like, okay, like take some deep breaths. And like, I am a very calm person. And I think being a nurse too, not that I knew exactly what to expect. I mean, I don't work in surgery. I've never had a surgery, but I'm pretty relaxed, very easygoing. I wasn't like at all nervous or anything. You know, I knew it was a pretty like basic surgery, and I'd kind of Googled it. You know, I knew a little bit of what to expect, right? So I was pretty calm. But in the moment when you have that whole breathing mask like tight to your face, and it's, you know, it's covering obviously your whole nose, mouth, like your whole like lower face, and like it's tight to your mouth, right? And then they're just telling you, okay, like take some deep breaths, like breathe in and out. Even I felt calm. Like I wasn't freaking out or anything, but I could hear my heart on the monitor, and it was like picking up, right? So I was like, I feel calm, but like I could hear my heart like quickening, right? Because it's kind of like intense once that's like over your face and so tight. So I remember the surgeon or whoever being like, okay, like here, I'm just gonna give you something to like calm you down. And like, I already felt calm. So that's the last thing I remember. And then when I woke up, I was in the like PACU or whatever. And yeah, it was like such a weird feeling. Like it literally feels like the surgery was 5 seconds long. Like you don't remember anything, right? You wake up, you're just recovering. And I just remember the nurse was like, I was like really groggy, right? So she was just kind of like giving me some pain meds. And then a little while later, I was back up on the floor. I think by that time it was maybe like 1:30. But I don't know how long it took me really to like wake up from the anesthesia and stuff, right? So I think the surgery itself was only like an hour. Like it's not a long surgery, right? So I was brought back to the unit. And from there, I remember I was in like quite a bit of pain, had some oxygen on. So I had 4 incisions. Typically, I think it's 3 when I was kind of searching it, but my 4th one, kind of on my upper left side here, it's like very, very small. So I guess it's technically like 3 true incisions. But from there, it was just, I don't know, it was a crazy experience. It's so weird being a nurse and then suddenly now you're a patient, you know, like such a weird feeling. But I just remember I was so nauseous. Like I could barely, I had a couple sips maybe of water and whatever, but that was it. It even took me a little while, even like hours later, just to pee. Cause you know, with the anesthesia and obviously like, you know, with having a bowel movement, it can take days, right? Cause everything kind of just slows down, so it's harder. But even just to pee, I remember, I think, yeah, it was around 6 at night and I had just peed, but I remember because they had been running fluids, right? Bags of fluids, like since basically I had got to the emerge and then after surgery straight, right? Like 1 liter bags of fluids. So like I knew I had a lot of fluids in me, but at the same time, I went to pee and I probably peed out like maybe half of it. Like I could tell that my bladder was still kind of full. So it's a weird feeling. And then I remember that time my nurse and her student walked in with the bladder scanner and they thought I hadn't peed yet, right? So they're gonna scan my bladder. So I told them that no, I just peed, and like it was a decent amount, right? So I'm okay right now. But at that point I wasn't like, passing gas or anything, right? Because it could take a little while. But I peed, which was a good sign. My boyfriend came to visit me. He was going in for a night shift actually, so he came and saw me before. So that was really nice. I remember how excited I was when he walked in through the curtain. Like I was so happy to see him because it had been a little while. But yeah, it was just, I remember I was in a lot of pain the first few days. They were giving me Dilaudid IV, which if you don't know, Dilaudid is an opioid pain medication. It's like one of the strongest ones. It's very strong. So they were giving me that IV, and that was helping a lot to take the pain away. I know the one night, or that following night, spent 2 nights at the hospital, but that night, because I was just waking up, you know, almost every couple hours. Like I hadn't slept in a couple days. Like the pain was really bad. So I remember the nurse gave me like a Dilaudid and gravel combo IV, and it was like the best thing at the time because I actually like slept the whole night. Like I actually got some sleep, so it was really nice. But yeah, it was a good experience. I didn't eat until, so I hadn't ate, my birthday was on a Friday, right, the 14th, so I had last ate on the Thursday, the 13th, dinner. So I hadn't ate since then, and this was now Saturday, like that was my surgery, and I didn't eat at all that day. I just had a few sips of water until the next day. So finally the Sunday, because they had brought me dinner the Saturday night, like after my surgery, and like I remember it was fish. Typically I like fish, but you know, when you're nauseous and just in that state already, like I just couldn't eat it, right? So I didn't eat that. My sister came and saw me that night and brought me the ginger ale, and she was with me for a little bit, and I was up walking the halls with her because they really want you to get up and move, right? Especially to like start passing the gas and like, right, just to feel better, right? They want you moving. So we were up doing like a few laps at the hall. I was feeling pretty decent, but I was also on like the strong pain meds, so that really helped, right? She couldn't stay long because like the visiting hours were only till 8 or something, so she left. And then the next day, I actually had a good night that night. I was able to sleep. The next morning they brought me breakfast, and I was feeling like my appetite finally came back. It was such a good feeling. I mean, I was on a lot of meds for nausea and stuff too, right? So obviously that helped, but I remember like it was literally a hospital breakfast. It was like a yogurt, a muffin, like some cereal, and like a juice. And I remember just thinking it was the best thing ever. Like I ate all of my breakfast, and this was the first time I ate in days, right? So it felt really good to eat, and then I had some ginger ale, and like, yeah, no, I was starting to feel a lot better. It was so nice to finally eat. By that point, I was starting to pass a little bit of gas, but I didn't have like bowel movement at all yet. So after I was laying in bed, I remember the one resident and the doctor were talking in the hallway. They were kind of like reviewing their cases and their patients, and I heard them like talking and saying they were gonna come and see me next, right? So I guess they had done blood work. They do it every morning and stuff in the hospital. So they did my blood work, and I heard them saying that my hemoglobin was really low, right? It was like 89, which is like, which is pretty low, right? And I guess when I had first come into the hospital, when they did my blood work, like it wasn't low, and my surgery was laparoscopic, right? So it wasn't an open surgery. So literally they just make like 3 tiny incisions or 4 and use the instruments just to visualize. And my lowest, or the lowest and like biggest incision I have is probably, maybe it's like 1.5 inches. Like it's not big, and that's where they like pulled the appendix out from. So it's very like minimal blood loss, right? So like they're just questioning, like that's really weird, like, you know, this is not some major surgery where she's lost a lot of blood. Like we don't understand why her hemoglobin has dropped that low, right? Typically in the past, like I take iron every day, right? Because I have low iron. I have really, really bad and heavy periods. So I think that's typically why, you know, I think my hemoglobin has been low in the past. But my period had ended like a couple of days before I went into the hospital, so I wasn't even on it at that point. So it was a little weird. So anyway, they were a little confused. So they were talking about that. They came and saw me, felt around, and they were thinking, which I was thinking too, I had my IV site in here, right? And the nurse had took the blood from the IV site. And sometimes, you know, when you take it from the site, it can get a little bit diluted, right? So it's not like a true sample. So that's what they were thinking. And then I was thinking that too, right? So I was like, yeah, like they were, because the other times, you know, they had took it from the other arm, right? But then like that morning they took it from the site. So I was like, okay, right? Maybe it's a false reading or whatever, right? So they repeated the blood work and they actually found out that it wasn't low at all. So that was good. So I was actually released, yeah, I was released that day in the afternoon. So the surgeon, the nurse came in thoroughly and was like, okay, you're free to go. And I was like, what? Like, I was kind of surprised. Like, I don't know, I thought I would just be there longer. I wasn't expecting to like just be discharged, I guess. Like, it seemed like it was like, not that it seemed like it was too soon, but I thought it would be, I don't know, I was kind of thinking like maybe it would be later on or the next day, like I wasn't sure. So yeah, from there I was discharged home. The first few days, honestly the first week was pretty uncomfortable. Like the pain was pretty bad. They discharged me on just some Tylenol 3s, like 10 Tylenol 3s. I ended up having to call my doctor and she actually prescribed some Dilaudid for me to take, and I only took it maybe the first 3 or 4 days. Yeah, it wasn't even like the whole first week. The first few days especially, I was in a lot of pain. Like it was really, really uncomfortable to sleep. I was up like every couple hours. It's just not comfortable. Like any way you lay, usually I am like a side sleeper, but even trying to lay on your side, it's painful. Another thing with laparoscopic surgery, which I never knew, I guess they use carbon dioxide, right, for the surgery. So they use it to kind of inflate your stomach just so they can visualize the organs better, right? So it's easier for them to kind of see what they're doing. What I didn't realize is that carbon dioxide actually reacts with some of your nerves. So you can get a ton of shoulder pain, which is super, super common with this type of surgery. Shoulder pain, neck pain, and even like back. So the thing is, like, I always sleep on my right side. So even like my stomach was honestly less painful at some points than like my shoulder. Like my right shoulder was so sore. Like I didn't realize what it was until I kind of looked into it more. So it took, honestly, I would say at least 4 days maybe after for the shoulder pain to go away. Like it took a while. So yeah, so I'd say the first week, I was kind of recovering and the pain was pretty bad, especially the first few nights. Even the first night, so it was so nice. My boyfriend picked me up from the hospital, and since I had missed my birthday, right, because I went into the hospital on my birthday, my family they had decorated it all. They had streamers, balloons, everything up. I'll insert a picture, but they had the whole table done with gifts, and like it was so sweet. So I came home to that. So it was really, really nice. And that night, so my sister's girlfriend and their kids, they all came over and they brought some lasagnas, right, and did dinner and stuff, and like wouldn't let me do anything. They made dinner. It was really nice. And I remember like laughing, and it like was, oh my god, I can't even explain how painful it was to laugh, right? Like to sneeze, to laugh. Like I would literally be holding a pillow against my stomach and like just so tight. Like it was just so painful, like especially like those, yeah, like first couple of nights. Like it was pretty bad. Like I never thought yeah, so the pain, especially the first few nights, was really bad, probably up into a week. It'll be 2 weeks tomorrow since I had my surgery, and I'm doing really well now. The sites actually look really, really good. My boyfriend's been changing the dressings. He's also a nurse, so that's really handy. And honestly, it's pathetic because they look like little cuts. Like they don't look like anything, but they're so painful. But I guess when you think about it, the way they're obviously inside your stomach, manipulating like the one low incision that's like pretty painful, like that's where they pulled out the appendix. So it's like they don't look really bad or anything, and I know like they're gonna heal nice. Like they're already healing really nicely, right? But it's crazy like how painful it is, because when you look at my stomach, it honestly looks like you know, here's a little scratch and like a little cut. Like it doesn't look like anything, right? So it's just crazy like actually how painful it is. But yeah, so that was like my crazy journey on my past birthday. Like I was not expecting that, but I'm just so grateful, you know, that it was successful. Hopefully now I don't have any other issues in the future with this. Like I grew up always with so many stomach aches. So my grandma was saying like, maybe this was the cause of like, you know, your past stomach aches. Like who knows, right? So hopefully from here on out, everything will be good. I'm really hoping that next year for my 30th, nothing goes wrong. I don't need any more surgeries so I can enjoy my birthday. I was happy that this year was just 29 and it was, you know, nothing special. So I'm like, what are the chances this happens on my birthday? You know, like this just doesn't happen. But anyway, I've been recovering well. I'm off for a month from my job. I'm not allowed to lift anything above like 15 pounds for 6 weeks. So I'm actually going back at a month. And I think I'll be fine. I can, if I want, I could get a buddy for a couple weeks, like to do like modified work at my work. But I know after a month, like I'm already feeling really good now. I've been going on walks and, you know, I'm feeling pretty good. So I know I'll be okay. So I go back like mid-June back to work. So should be good. Anyway guys, that is my laparoscopic appendectomy story. I hope you enjoyed and I will talk to you guys in the future.